It's Wretch right here on your Classic Metal Show. We're live here at the 78th Street studio here in Cleveland, Ohio, and so far so good, right, Chris?
So far. Look at this. It's Jim Hamar from Breaker sneaking in the room.
Wow, look at that. We got celebrities galore hanging out here
Come
today.
have a seat, Jim. Come on in.
Grab a set of headphones and turn that mic on. There's a switch on the mic. All right.
There he is.
Yeah, too many moving parts.
Yeah. You think I'd know how to turn the mic on?
Yeah, you would think so. But here we are. We're in at the 78th Street studios and hanging out. Our good friend Sal, who is a hardcore CMS fan, he made the trip all the way in from Chicago, flew in.
He did.
Last night just to be here. And then, we've had various guests through the day.
Yeah.
And we got Jim Hamar stepping in behind the mic. And how you doing there, Jim?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Good. Why don't you pull that mic a little closer to you? There.
Sure thing.
Yeah. You could adjust that, turn it down or whatever. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. So let's get to Sal real quick since he spent the
Thank
money
you.
and the time to come out here. So
Staying across from the football stadium. Can't beat that, man.
right. Well, turn that mic towards you a little bit.
Sure.
There you go. So anyway, you jumped on a plane yesterday from Chicago just to be here. So what made you want to come to Cleveland of all places?
Well, I need one of your new shirts, of course.
Yeah, like you couldn't get that from me in person.
Exactly. Well, as we know, I can't order from the phone. I mean, I want a small, I needed a large, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm a diehard fan of the show. Every Saturday night and things like that. I find life experiences and even personality things akin to both of what you guys have and experiences and whatnot. Partying and whatnot.
Yeah,
this guy over here.
Well, we are living the life, Sal. We are living the life.
And politically, I guess we know which one of you two that I might side with on that kind of stuff. But yeah, it harkens me back to basically the 80s, which were the great heyday of women and booze.
Women and booze.
Yeah, notice he doesn't put the music in front. It's women first, then
Women,
the
booze, maybe some songs here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Some Rosemont Horizon hanging out in the parking lot
Right.
for crew or whatever.
It's wine, women, and song, right, Sal?
Exactly.
Right.
Take out the drugs.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
How about you, Jim? You stepped in here. What brings you out here today?
I got the invite to come down and see this event, and literally have just walked in the door, so I haven't really looked at anything yet. But other than that, I'm yours for as long as you need me.
Sure. Well, Jim, you probably don't know this, but both of us big fans of your work, big fans of Breaker, love Get
Thank you.
Tough, still play Get Tough on the show
Thank you,
constantly,
thank you.
man. It's got to be for you, who's one of the stalwart performers of the Cleveland metal scene from that early 80s thing. It's got to be special to you to see how much love there still is for not only the work that you did, but that whole scene that came up with Breaker, whether it was Shock Paris or the early days of Destructor. It's amazing how much people still are loving that era of music.
Yeah, I think, the great thing about it, Chris, is, you think about the genre and how many subgenres there are, and Florida was always known for the death metal
Sure.
scene. And you go to the Bay Area, and it was the thrash scene. Cleveland had a melting pot of a little bit of everything. You had the thrash, you had doom, you had a little bit of glam rock when Real Steel came
Sure,
around.
right.
They even branched off into kind of more bluesy stuff
Sure.
for a while. That was the thing that I enjoyed most about the scene was on any given night you were seeing metal, but it was a different, it wasn't just pigeonholed into one certain type of metal, which is really cool.
Sure.
But I appreciate the kind words. I love everything about that era. It's just...
Well, it was I was a young kid. I was probably 15 years old in '83, I guess. So, but I kind of grew up in it, and I saw Breaker a lot of times. It seems like I can't even remember where, because again, I was a little kid. But,
Right.
I just remember that at that time, most people thought of Breaker as a national touring band. I mean, I don't think a lot of people, unless they were more hardcore Cleveland people, understood that you guys weren't touring. You know, they just saw it. They saw the band and they heard the band, and you guys got a little bit of radio play on the radio and stuff. It was, you guys were a band, not a local band, or there wasn't that differential that I guess grew into becoming now.
Yeah, we had at that time, at least, we had a different culture. Every one of our rehearsals, like our road crew guys and everything, would be at every rehearsal. How do we do things quicker? How do we do things better? It was like tribal.
Sure.
It was definitely new to me because I'd never been involved with anything like that, and there was a certain degree of being meticulous about what you were writing. I never understood. I always thought you just went into a room and knocked out a 3-minute song and boom, you went and played it. But you learn more. Mark and Don are great songwriters. They
Sure.
know how to put things together, and you learn about arrangements and stuff. And we all grew a lot together, and it was cool. It was just very rewarding looking back on it now. It's
Right.
like, wow, you just kind of hit yourself in the forehead and go, man, I can't believe it was that long ago.
Well, that kind of dovetails right into the next question I had for you. Looking back, did you think that you'd be still doing that today?
I hoped. I don't know if I thought I would be, but I hoped. I mean, like any band, it comes down to this decisions that you make collectively and individually, and for some people it didn't happen fast enough, so they had to get out of the project. For others, it was maybe a change in direction. We, like anybody, we made bad decisions.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, I made probably the biggest bad decision I made was getting involved with this.
Well, there's truth to that. Well, Jim, talk a little. I want to stretch away from Cleveland just for a minute, because Breaker, one of those bands that you guys really found an audience in Europe, and I mean, you guys have obviously played Europe and played the biggest festivals. How do you, or what do you attribute that to, that the European audience not only found you, but latched onto you as much as they did?
I wish I knew, because I would have got everybody to do it sooner.
Right.
It was, and again, I've had this discussion with people numerous times over the last 10, 15 years. The difference that the internet makes in today's day and age.
Sure.
It's like back then, someone had to write a snail mail letter to you and get it, read it, correspond. Finding bands, finding music, finding anything, any kind of information took until the next publication came out.
Right.
It wasn't like just getting a news flash. One of my alerts went off and wow,
right.
Sammy Hagar is now in Van Halen. Holy crap.
Right.
Everything was so different. It all started with one letter from somebody in Germany. And we just maintained correspondence. I ended up doing years after that, after the band kind of fizzled up a little bit, I did an interview for like a Where Are They Now kind of piece sort of deal, like whatever happened to Breaker, how come they didn't do anything. And then one thing led to another, and before you knew it, we got the invite, and you really felt like people found something special in it the way we find something special, in a Maiden record or a Priest record or a Slayer record, whatever it might be. And it's, again, rewarding is the word that keeps coming to mind.
Right. And I've got to imagine, as a failed musician that I am, I have to imagine that when you go over to like Vocalist or something like that and you play that and you've got X number, 1,000 kids screaming, singing Blood Money or singing, 10 Seconds In or whatever, you've got to be like, how the hell do all these people that don't even speak this language know these words?
There were so many things about that culture that blows me away. How, I believe the exact same time we were playing at Wacken, 6 Feet Under was on another stage 100 yards or 200 yards over. There's no, they really don't categorize things the way we do here.
Right.
It's just like it was a metal festival. Everyone was there to have fun, eat, drink, and listen to music. And it's like, okay, we're going to go see Rose Tattoo, and then after that we're going to go see Dee Snider, and then we're going to go see Venom. And
right.
It's just like get in as much as you could.
Sure. Why do you think that never came here? Why do you think that the States, especially probably a little later than when you guys came out, but toward the end of the 80s and certainly all through the 90s, just decided that, well, we got to support only this trend. We only can listen to grunge, and then we can only listen to nu metal. And it just seems like there was no crossover. And like you said, you go to Europe, you know, I watched pretty much every band that played Wacken this year. And, I mean, you're going from Halloween to Body Count.
Right.
And nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking away. You still got 100,000 people watching Body Count and singing their stuff. And then the next band comes out that's, you know, or symphonic band. And everybody knows all their stuff. It's such a different culture.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense why it didn't come here.
Again, I don't have an answer for that. The only thing I can say, and it's strictly my opinion, is the culture here is like a sheep mentality. It's like everybody likes it, so I've got to like it.
Sure.
You know, when I was a teenager, I hung out with guys that were 4 or 5 years older than me. So while I was a fully qualified, fully enlisted member of the KISS Army,
right,
these guys are telling me, you got to listen to this, you got to listen to that. And it opened my mind a little bit more to things, you know. You'd listen to Mountain or Rory Gallagher, not necessarily metal acts, but just stuff that wasn't on my radar.
Right, sure.
You know, if I couldn't buy the lunchbox, I didn't want to hear about it.
Right.
You know, so it's really cool to have an open mind, and I think that's, you know, they like what they like, and they're willing to listen to something that may open a new door for them.
Sure.
And God bless them for that. That's awesome.
Well, tell us how influential Bill Peters has been, you know, for Breaker or even in Cleveland. You know, give us a good Bill Peters story.
Often referred to as the Grand Poobah, but he just, you know, Bill Peters is he's the one person, and I consider myself really passionate about what I like, and I don't like to deter from what I like. He's the same way, but on a bigger level. He just puts everything first before himself. Mm-hmm. He's never looking to make a name for himself or do anything for himself. He's always looked out for the bands. That's probably the best story. Is he's always been an ally. Mm-hmm. You know, as long as you're, I hate to use the word faithful, but as long as you don't do anything behind his back,
he's
obviously.
Loyal.
Yeah, he's just a loyal guy,
yeah.
And he loves the music. And anybody that's listened to his show or talked to him about music, he just loves everything.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing that's off limits. He's definitely not a sheep.
No.
Never be a sheep.
And he definitely, I mean, anybody that's from here knows, if you were into any band that was popular in 83 to 93 or so.
Right.
And they were from Cleveland, 9 of 10 of them said Auburn Records somewhere on the CD
right.
or on the tape at the time. You know, I mean, Bill had that incredible ear to just know who could work and who couldn't work.
Right.
And it's almost weird because I can remember, I'm very good friends with Bill, and I can remember times Bill would send us stuff when I was doing the metal show on MMS.
Right.
And Bill would send us stuff, and I'd be like, you know, not my thing. But I'd listen to it. Bill would hit me up and be like, "Come on, dude, listen to it again. Listen to it without thinking that it sucks." And I'd be like, "Okay." And I would give it another listen. You know, I'd put the headphones on and I would stop doing whatever I was doing and listen. And I'm like, "All right, I sort of see it." Or Bill would invite me out to a show, and then I would get it because, you know, a lot of times you can't get. Breaker's a perfect example. You know, Breaker was a band. I don't know that I loved it when I first heard it. I liked it until I saw it. And then when I saw it, I loved it.
Oh,
and then Get Tough went from something that was, you know, thrown next to the Overkill tapes and stuff that were once in a while to this pile when I was Motley Crue kid. And then it became stuff that I listened to all of the time. And you know, it's just I don't know. I know I'm rambling like an ass.
No, it's great. I tend to do it too. Once I get going, it's
yeah. It's just it's very cool that we had that scene, I guess. And we can name individual people. Your band, obviously. Destructor, Wretch. Name them, pick them. Even bands that weren't in that sect.
Right.
Your 9 Inch Nails, even. Bands that went to super levels, but they all sort of had that Cleveland vibe, I guess.
Right.
In different ways, and it's it's cool that it's still so valued here.
Could I ask a quick question? Do you think it was a function of you had? I'm from the Midwest too, the Chicagoland area. We had a bar club we were talking about off Mike here, Thirsty Whale, that had some national acts come through. Grim Reaper, who you guys know I like, and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, if you're from that area, do you got to be mobile? Do you got to go coast to coast? You got to go west or east, even back in the day, because we talk about the Jersey scene. What was it? I had
Seattle or whatever.
No. The New Jersey scene with Skid
Row, Spread Eagle,
Spread Eagle,
right.
which I requested not too long ago. But you say they had that sound, but at least they're over there. They're within a drive of all the record companies and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. That was always the joke here, was bands would say they were going on tour, and the tour would be from Lorain to Cleveland to Akron. And it was like, no, you're not on tour.
Yeah.
You're driving 30
Triangle,
minutes.
33 mile drive.
I think even Michael Stanley did that with their North Coast tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from Erie to Cleveland to Toledo.
yeah.
But no, Cleveland, we said it at the beginning of the show, and Jim, you'll probably agree with this. Cleveland is sick, and the Clevelanders are sick with their dedication to Cleveland.
Right.
If you're from Cleveland, you will absolutely get loyalty from everybody in town, even if they don't love what you do. They will absolutely. They might talk shit about you, but they sure as hell are not going to let anybody else.
Right. Yeah. It's city's been made fun of for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It was really super refreshing. The other day they were talking about the Rock Hall nominees, which is
Motorhead.
Yeah, there's actually some metal involved this year, which
Motorhead,
was really
Priest.
cool. But they mentioned to Rob Halford that the induction ceremony would actually be in Cleveland. And
Right.
he was over the moon about it, the fact that they loved Cleveland.
Right.
I'm like, wow, I never knew that. It's cool.
It is cool. It's definitely good stuff, man. Well, Jim, it's definitely great been having you out here, man. What are you doing now? Are you singing at all? Or are you just...
Yeah, I'm just hanging with some friends, doing some cover stuff, but nothing real serious. Just, working, which is good. Waking up with a pulse every morning is always a good thing.
No more hangovers the
No.
next day. Very good, man. Well, dude, you want to play some Breaker?
Yeah, I got Get Tough Disc 1 pulled up here. I'll let you pick a track.
How about Get Tough? Title track.
All right, we can do that. All right, we want to thank our good friend Sal for stopping out from Chicago, and of course Jim from Breaker for stopping down. And,
thanks both.
Making this afternoon a great afternoon for everybody involved. So let's do it. Let's play some Get Tough from some Breaker. So here it is. It's Breaker exclusively here
on your classic metal show.